A late-night mid-air collision over the Potomac River is being called the deadliest aviation disaster in the U.S. since 2001. So what happened in the skies above the Washington, D.C. area? I'm Veronica Dudo. Let's find out.
This is In America Today from the Ticker News Studios in New York City.
A devastating mid-air collision over Washington, D.C. has claimed the lives of all on board an American Eagle passenger jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The crash occurred near Reagan National Airport on Wednesday evening, sending both aircraft into the Potomac River. Officials report that 27 bodies have been recovered from the plane and one from the helicopter, with no survivors expected. The incident, captured on a live stream from the Kennedy Center, has transitioned from a rescue to a recovery mission as investigators work to determine what caused this tragic accident. For more, I'm joined by former U.S. Army Green Beret Jordan Goudreau. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, based on your military experience, what kind of training flight would the Black Hawk helicopter have been conducting near Reagan National Airport?
So anything from search and rescue to transportation of VIPs. There's a wide variety of training operations at night. I mean, it's a little more, obviously more complicated because you're working with night vision devices and you can't just see incoming aircraft. That said, I mean, both aircraft have radar.
Now, what are the standard protocols for military and civilian aircraft operating in shared airspace, and how could a collision like this occur?
Right, so this is the question. You have the FCC, who is supposed to deconflict the airspace. You have a rotary wing asset, one of the most highly sophisticated rotary wing assets in the U.S. arsenal. And then you have just a regular civilian airliner. And so the first, obviously, would be FCC deconfliction and air traffic control. The second would obviously be these are military operators, and so they're going to be using their own instrumentation to try to deconflict airspace, as well as a civilian airliner. So again, I mean, this is one of those things that I don't know that we've seen.
How challenging is it for first responders to conduct recovery efforts in a river like the Potomac, especially what we saw last night and then now, of course, resuming again today?
Well, especially freezing temperatures, it's a freezing lake. You know, it's a deep body of water. It has it's a river, so it's moving. It's got a current. So obviously it's going to take some time, and I don't know that we will be able to recover all of the bodies. Hopefully there's survivors. Again, I'm sure we can get the wreckage in the black box to see what exactly happened. But I think, largely the questions are going to be aimed at the FCC.
And so just with your experience, when we're looking at a collision like this, it's certainly a unique situation. What type of investigation process is likely underway to try and determine the cause of the collision?
Well, certainly the military is going to conduct its own investigation. This is something that should never have happened. Obviously the FCC will conduct their investigation, but going back to the military investigation, I mean, obviously this is not something that happens. I mean, so we're going to look at the investigation is going to look at the efficacy of the actual training mission to begin with, and why was it conducted? Why weren't certain safety nets put in place far above that exceed the FCC? And so it's going to be probably two parallel investigations working together to try to come up with why this happened.
Now, we saw President Donald Trump address the nation. Could this collision indicate potential gaps in communication between civilian and military air traffic control systems?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that you have, like I said, one of the most sophisticated aerial rotary wing assets in the U.S. arsenal that has the ability to not just move in a straight vector, but can at whim move up and change altitude. And so I think there has to be some questions asked to the FCC, and perhaps other protocols put in place where, individual airframes can do what they need to do in emergency. In the case that the FCC misses something, which in this case, on the surface, it looks like the FCC missed the fact that these two air assets were sharing the same airspace.
From your perspective, what lessons can be learned from this incident to maybe enhance safety in shared airspace between military and civilian aircraft?
I think the military and the FCC have to take a really close look at their protocols for deconflicting this sort of event. This should never have happened. I think everybody can agree. The military may have to change protocols, policies, and the FCC may have to as well.
Now, of course, for the families who those were involved, what support systems are generally put in place after such a tragedy?
So for the military, obviously, there'll be, post-traumatic stress support. These individuals will have SGLI. So the military folks will have SGLI, and so their families will receive life insurance. And they will have, at their availability, several doctors and therapists to overcome this terrible event. From the civil side, I can only assume that it would be somewhat similar, minus the life insurance policies.
And now just looking to the future, how does the aviation community typically respond to tragedies like this in terms of preventing future incidents?
Yeah, I think it's going to. So they've lost a great amount of confidence, right? This is a catastrophic event, and so in order to restore confidence, they're going to have to be very upfront with the public in what went wrong, and then secondly, what they're going to do to fix it. I know in the past there have been some large complaints about the FCC, and I think their leadership is going to have to take a hard look at how forthcoming they want to be with these events and the aftermath and the investigation.
Jordan, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
This is Ticker. We'll be right back.